This week, episode 326 on the Inner Circle. My man, if I had Michael Buffer right now, this is where I would use him. Ryan Stewman, the hardcore closer. Welcome, my friend.
I have been introduced by Michael Buffer before. I'm just
I
saying.
know, which is why I'm jealous. Like,
Yeah.
I really would hit like a let's get ready to rumble, but it might not do it any justice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I got it on video too, and I think I could use it. I should use that as video for my events.
Good.
Like that's one thing that is fortunate slash unfortunate. We'll call it the first world problem. When you have a really cool life because you do the right thing and you treat people right, you get a lot of cool experiences like that. So many of them that sometimes we forget how awesome it was that I forgot that Michael Buffer even introduced me ever until you just said that. So got us a little off track there, but I just there's been some awesome moments of my life just because I'm a good dude.
That's what's interesting, right? Like you talk about that. And I think from the good dude perspective, I want to flip it on its head for a minute. The vulnerability that you talk about, if folks don't know your story specifically, right? I know the entire backstory. I know the issues and the drama and the heartache and the headache you've gone through. But what's interesting is you always seem to use that for the reason that you are a light for the other folks that you stand up for.
Well, a person can choose to become a victim and use excuses when the struggle shows up, or a person can bear the burden of responsibility for beating that struggle and overcoming it. And we get to choose every day. The struggle comes every day, and we get to choose whether we're going to make an excuse and be a victim to it, or whether we're going to take responsibility and figure out a way to get over it. And for me, I decided a long time ago to live a lifestyle that I have it tattooed on my hands. Fuck your excuses. And this, so my hand is a reminder, and there's hundreds, like plural, hundreds of people that have it tattooed on them. And it's something that means something to us, because here's what happens to people. When someone makes an excuse for something, they're missing the responsibility. The other day, I'm talking to my son. He's in trouble at school, and he made an excuse that one of the other kids, started the distraction process, and he just joined in. And I said, but if you put that blame and that excuse on that other person, then you don't get to learn the lesson I'm teaching you here, because you're not willing to accept responsibility. And then people go through life repeating the same mistake and then blaming it on somebody else. In the dating world, the business world, their family, they make the same mistake and blame it on someone else, is because of the simple fact that they're repeating that same pattern and not learning from it, because they're giving the responsibility, aka the excuse they're making, to someone else, as opposed to taking the responsibility themselves, learning the lesson from it, pivoting, improving, whatever needs to be done from there. So people don't even realize how disadvantageous it is to them when they are making excuses for things, or then they don't take responsibility. If I lose money on a deal, that's my responsibility to overcome that. I can't be like, oh, this is such and such issue. It's my responsibility to, whether I lost that money or not, I got to still pay the bills. I got to keep my word with the employees. I've got to keep my word with my vendors and everything else in my small business. Right. And so many people miss that. Because of that responsibility, I've gotten really good at being responsible. I've gotten really good. I got an 850 credit score. I've got, excellent relationships with bankers. I got excellent relationships with my vendors. They're all happy to give me whatever I need, because I always pay on time when I say I'm going to pay. I've got excellent relationships with everything that I have, because I always have decided that whatever struggle is going to come my way, I'm going to keep my word in the first place. And when you're fighting for your integrity, it changes the game as a small business owner or a big business owner, doesn't matter. But when you're fighting to keep your integrity, it's easy to make an excuse and go, I'm sorry, this deal didn't work out, or sorry, I didn't meet your deadline, or sorry, it didn't meet your expectations, or whatever else. It's completely different when you're the opposite of that in business. It's like, hey, I went above and beyond for you. I showed up for you. I've done the right things for you. People become raving fans. But so many people, they refuse to do that, and they miss out on the benefits of that. That's why I've been in this industry for 13 years. And I have seen so many people come and go, Travis, just so many people come and go. 1 minute, they're the hottest thing. And that's the thing, is that everybody wants to be the hottest thing in the industry. And I've been sitting back for 13 years, and I've never been the it guy. And I've got my own momentum, and a lot of people look up to me, and I'm one of the OGs that a lot of people model. And I've been at this almost longer than anyone. There's a few guys, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, a couple of those guys been at it a little bit longer than me, but not many. And I say that because a lot of people look up, and I still think of it all the time as is a lot of people coming and going. And when someone's that it person, I always, in the beginning, it's like, one of these days I'm gonna be the it person, man. I seem to watch those guys fall pretty quick, so I'm like, hey man, I just want to be like right behind the it person. Let someone else get all that negative attention that comes with that. And I just pick up leads from the comments, so it's a long answer to that question, but that's
no, it's good. It's good. A couple things I want to dive. It's like when you're on that long road trip and you got that car in front of you that wants to make it a point that he's faster, you'll let him get the ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You
Exactly.
have been doing this a long time. It's impressive. And a lot of the things that I love to hear you say and that I take from you, like the daily rise above, which is just incredible, are the losses that come with life. And I think there's I'm not sure if it's social media. I'm not sure. I'm not sure maybe where it came from. But when did we start to not celebrate or talk about or digest these losses? Everything in Instagram land is so filtered and so fake and so phony. Why don't we speak about that? Is it a man thing? Is it a vulnerability thing? Is it a social media thing? What is it?
Well, allow me to put a tinfoil hat on here for a second. But I think the devil's hard at work, especially in America these days. I don't live anywhere else, so I don't know. But I think the devil's working harder than Kris Jenner right now. And the reason why I say that is if it's hard to be the truth. I've been doing this since 2008. I've been putting videos on YouTube. I just now had a video. I'm talking about religiously. I got like 3,000 videos on there. I just now had one hit 100,000 views in a week. I've had some over time get there, but I just now had one finally do that in a week. And I've been doing this shit damn near 20 years, right? And it's hard. That's the truth, though. It took me 20 years to get the fucking video to be able to do that without running ads to it, to finally get this thing nailed and organic. And it's really 17 years, but you get the point, right? The truth took me a long time. Now I could have went and bought a bunch of bots, and I could have faked the thing, and I could pretend like I'm awesome and maybe quote unquote fake it till I make it. But the truth is what's going to make me better, right? If let's just take the internet marketing side away from this, and let's just change let's say I'm an electrician. Okay. And I wire houses, and on paper, because I cheated off my neighbor, it looks like I can wire a house. And now all of a sudden my neighbor that I was cheating off of in class and getting the good scores that got me the license, now all of a sudden something happens. He gets in a car accident or whatever, and I got to wire that house. And I don't have the knowledge to do it. Now I'm putting lives at risk, right? So many people, they want to skip the hard work thinking that there's short-term gratification, but the power moves in the long term. The power moves like, hey, guess what? Now that I've got this one video, I finally got a template and a formula that I can follow, that I can duplicate. I got some data now. I got a lot of 1,000, 2,000 view videos. We hadn't had one take off like that. So now we got one I got some data. What do? Oh, it worked on YouTube. I bet it'll probably work on Instagram too, right? Like I'm learning these things the hard way, but so many people, I watch them, they come up out of nowhere, they buy a million, like nobody heard of you, motherfucker. And you got 1 million followers, 4 million followers, 12 million followers, 20 million followers. Like, man, you got 4 million followers on Instagram and 3 comments on every post that you got, or the comments turned off on every post, and a bunch of 4 million likes. Like, dude, ain't no 4 million followers and 4 million likes. Just like the crazy things that we see over there. But the truth is, that's serving anybody that does that, is serving them short period. That's like if you go get liposuction and you go right back to eating fat ass foods again, then you just did all that for short-term experience. It's not going to last you long term. And so for me, I got, like I said, 13 years in doing this. I started full-time in 2010. I started on the internet in 2008, so 15 years, but I've been full-time doing this shit since 2010. And, times are changed, and AI's made things a lot smoother for people and quicker for people. Companies like Phone Sites, and we were discussing ClickFunnels and Go High Level, and the places that are out there making technology easier and better to use than ever. And it's an ever evolving industry that we're in. But here's the thing, is like, if you're a business owner, you're a small business owner right now, I'm saying the industry, I mean the industry of being a small business owner, you should be using social media to build a brand. And the world's looking for authenticity. For me, I got out of federal prison, which would be my second stint in 2008. And I hid that. I was a banker and I hid that story for a long time. In 2010, Dodd Frank took away my mortgage license. I couldn't be a banker anymore. And I got on the internet. And as soon as I embraced the reality of who I was, and I didn't have to come out and do all these crazy things and all this other stuff. But as soon as I embraced who I was and I stopped hiding, I started building a brand. Then I realized that I can build a personal brand and a brand for my business. So that way, at some point when I sell my business, the brand that's attached to the business is good, but I also still have my personal brand to be continuing to build off of. So if I want to build another business in a different industry that doesn't jack up my non-compete or anything like that, I'm good. And so I started, and that's why it isn't Ryan Stewman's Inner Circle or something like that. We have Apex for our mastermind, so that if I do have to sell it, I move it on this way. And then I've still built my personal brand if I've got to go do something like build a plumbing company or a roofing company or whatever the case in the future. So, you know, for the guys out there that are authentic, that are doing amazing things, you own a small business trying to grow, you should be growing a brand. You know where private equity is going right now to look at people? They're looking at people online. They're looking up your company. They're seeing if you got a community, a social media presence, how many people follow you, how many people engage with you. They're looking at that on top of your ROI, your EBITDA, all the other P&Ls, all these other things that they're looking at. But having a brand or even a community, imagine if you're a real estate agent and you got a Facebook group with all of your buyers and sellers together. So anytime that you're about to list a home, you drop it in there first. Imagine you're a plumber and you've got a Facebook group that's like, hey, middle of the night emergencies, tag us in here. And you got a VA in the Philippines that's always watching it so that you can make 3 times the money to wake up at 2 a.m. and go unclog a toilet versus doing it at 2 p.m, right? Like all these little things and communities that you can set up along the way to help you when you exit. Because here's what we're trying to do is entrepreneurs. We're trying to get to the next level. We always say that, hey, I want to go to the next level. I want to go to the next level. And what that really means, unless you have a clear definition of it, it just means I'm not happy where I'm at. I want more. I'm unhappy. I don't feel like I'm living to my full potential, whatever it is. So what they do, the entrepreneur does, is they have to identify what the levels are before they can say they want to go to the next level. So we entrepreneurs, we say, okay, level 1 is being an employee somewhere. You're just getting started. You got to learn from somewhere. And we can't all be 20-year-old kids with Lamborghinis that didn't ever have a job before. I don't know how the fuck that phenomenon became a reality. I guess YouTube or whatever. But most of us, like me, I worked at a car wash. I pulled wire as an electrician's helper. I mowed yards. I did, blue collar, hard ass work when I was a kid to learn a work ethic, so that when I finally got a shot to be in the office, I could apply that blue collar work ethic to that white collar money, And so to get off of level 1, you got to master sales and marketing. Okay. Because when you can go get your own leads and you can sell them, you can go do anything. When you learn the art of and master the art of sales and marketing, you go get your own leads and close them. You're the most dangerous you are a money generating machine. You are an ATM at that point because you know the game. That means that you know how to knock doors, you know how to build websites, you know how to use social media. It doesn't matter. If you know how to market and close deals, bam, you can go on to level 2, which is starting your own business, being a solopreneur, like what you were talking about before we went live here. So being self-employed, right? The self-employed entrepreneur. At that level, the only way that you're going to get to the next level, and this is where a lot of y'all fail, you get to that level and you're like, okay, I just need to double down on sales and marketing. I just need to get better at sales and marketing. You go buy more sales training, you go buy more marketing books, you go to more conferences. But what happens is once you become a solopreneur, you can never not be a solopreneur without a team. You got to learn to hire and train people. Right? You'll never not be a solo entrepreneur if you don't hire people. You can't your LLC may say that you're CEO, but really a CEO has people that they're leading in a company, a board of directors, a general manager, middle management, employees, things of that nature, which by the way is the 3rd level. So you got sales and marketing gets you to the 2nd level. And then hiring and training gets you to the 3rd level, which is CEO. You're the chief energy officer, as John Gordon says, of the company. You're the person driving the bus. At that level, you got to master leadership and brand building. Somebody else is handling your sales and marketing at that point. Somebody else is doing the hiring and training at that point. You got to be the person that knows how to build a brand. And it is a person that can instill leadership, because you're not leading employees anymore. You're leading middle management and upper management and a board of directors. To get out of that is the exiter, right? That's the person that either sold their business, somebody else is running it, giving them residual payments or one lump sum, however that works out. And at that level, which is the top, that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to build a business from scratch, sell it for hundreds of millions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars, enough to go buy the planet Pluto and move away from this bullshit we're having to deal with over here. But anyway, this is what we're trying to do, right? So when you exit, the way that you stay exited and you don't have to go back to work, you learn how to invest and you learn how taxes work. So those are the final skills, right? Along the way, it helps to learn a little bit of each one of them, but those are the 8 skills that you got to be able to scale through the 4 levels of business.
What if I'm not that guy that can lead or that gal that can lead? Do I bring somebody on or do I learn those skills myself?
So here's the mistake myself and a lot of small business owners make is we go find somebody that we think we can lead. So if I don't qualify myself as a leader, then I'm going to go find somebody that I think's easy to lead because I'm a weak leader, right? We'll call that a B player, right? Or a C player. And so I end up hiring these B or C players. And what happens is I think, okay, I can just coach them up or help them or whatever. Whereas really when we're hiring anybody, we want to hire somebody better than us so they can lead us anyway. For years, I hired media people, video people to follow me around and shoot YouTube videos and stuff like that. And I'm constantly giving the ideas. I'm constantly have to come up with the shit and the content and everything else. And they're just shooting it, man. And at some point I run out of ideas, man. I've been doing this for 15 fucking years. I can only come up with so many ideas. Now, the people that are on the team that I've hired have been here for a while. They come up and they sit ideas in front of me. Hey, these are the 10 options we got this week. Pick which ones you want to do and what days you want to do them on and which ones you think are stupid. And then sometimes they'll argue with me about it. It's not stupid. Just fucking do it, old man. Right? Like however it works. And so, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who I don't want to be a better salesperson than my guys. I want the guys in there, salespeople, they're leading the way, doing their own thing. I want them to be a better salesperson than me. You know, Drewby sold more than I have for this company. The guy sold 12 or $13 million worth of sales. Zach sold almost $10 million worth of sales for our company over here. Taylor's got $1.5 million. Blake's got $2 million in sales. So these are guys that played in the NFL, went to college, like all these great things. That's what I'm trying to hire, somebody better than me. Well, if I'm the best dude in the game, if I'm the CEO and I'm the best at every job there, then I'm going to be the dude that always has to go do every job there. If you're better than me, then I can play the, I don't know, you got it under control. Cool. The numbers look good game, right?
Yes. And did you learn that over time? I find that there's an ego component sometimes with this.
100%.
Okay.
And I did learn that because of my ego. I thought, oh, my deal was like, I'll take a blank slate and coach them up. And I did that, but I can only coach them. Now I'm busy as shit. I can only coach them so far. But I read this book by a guy named Dan Martell. It's called Buy Back Your Time. Great book. One of my all-time favorite business books. And he talks about, you know, how to hire people and the purpose that you're hiring them for. And he's like, why would you hire somebody? Why would you spend money on someone who's not better than you? If you can do it better, why would you pay somebody to not do it better than you? That makes zero sense. You might as well continue doing it. Go pay somebody that does it better than you. I got a social media manager here. The guy does it better than me. He engages with everything. I've got a lady that's doing our PR stuff over here. She does it better than me. She writes these really nice quotes and articles for Forbes that go published under my name, right? Like I'm hiring people that can sound like me, talk like me, figure out what we need to do over here, but they're better than me at it so that I can be the best at what I do.
I love that. I love that. I want to go back to one of your comments that you made. Is interesting. Yeah, Eric Thomas, who I know you have a relationship with, he had, I take my boy to school every morning with his friends, and we listen to different things. We listen to some of your stuff, some of the ET stuff, some motivational 15 minutes to try before they get the garbage that they're going to get in middle school, right? And to a point that you had made earlier about the honesty, you can't outbeat the lies. He said, if I was talking about sex, money, and drugs, I'd have 40 million followers, but I only have 4. Yep.
I feel the same way. You know, I've got a message from Andy Frisella, a text message he sent me the other day. We've been buddies for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years now. And he sent me a message and we were discussing politics. And he's like, you know, I'm trying to change the world over here. He goes, I have a car collection, a house, a lifestyle that's 1,000,000 times better than Andrew Tate. And I know that to be true. I've seen it. And he's like, but I'm not flexing and putting all that shit out there to get attention. He's like, bro, I could have 1 billion followers at this point if I showed people what my life's like, but I'm really trying to help people get their stuff together. But that's not sexy. It's the same for me. I just tell my guys, like, I hadn't really taken pictures of my cars and stuff in a while, and the private jets. We're still doing all that shit. I just haven't been trying to rub it in people's face. But that's what people are looking for, right? They want that sexy thing. And I'm like, listen, this is what we got to do. We're going to have to lure them in with the sexy shit. And then we're going to have to baptize them to get their shit together and do things the right way. It's like, come on in here. We got Lamborghinis. And as soon as they get in, we got to go, not so fast, motherfucker. We got 15 steps between you before you're going to be the person that deserves this Lamborghini. First, let's get your business booming. Second, let's buy you a primary residence. Third, how can we buy you a building to operate your business out of in the first place? So on and so forth, until we've spent all the money on all the things, the charities, the buying your mama a house and everything else, then we'll help you buy a Lamborghini.
The 15 steps if you're lucky, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
15 years, 1 step a year.
Well, I mean, you know the game. You're an overnight success about 20 years later, right?
Yeah. I started my first year that I almost made $1 million was in 2005. And I've got it, lost it several times over the years due to divorce, incarceration. If I've proven anything in life, I've proven that you can fucking come back 4 times in a row from anything. So
I love it. You made a comment earlier I want to dive into. You said you think the devil is hard at work in America, and I would agree with you 1,000,000%. It's one of the reasons I'm taking my family to a better place and trying to give them that life, surround them with the best things possible. If I were to tell you 10 years ago, hey, Ryan, you're going to be a man of God, you're going to be a man of faith, you're going to be holding sermons in the church, what was your reaction at that point? Is that something that was believable?
Well, I started going to the same church I go to today. I started there in 2003 or 4.
Okay.
That's
with Keith?
Yes, with Keith. And that's really the only church I've ever been to other than like weddings and funerals.
Can you tell that? I didn't plan this, but can you tell that story? I think it's a hilarious story. Like
yeah. So I met this chick on the freeway, and she ended up being a stripper. And I went to like the strip club. So this is pre-internet and shit, right? So I'm driving down the freeway, and this chick's driving, and I don't have a cool car or nothing like that. I'm just some broke ass car wash convicted felon motherfucker, right? And she pulls up next to me, and she's like, hey, take down my number. And I'm like, all right, cool. And so I get to my friend's house, and I was like, should I call this chick or what, man? Because I'm kind of like a shy dude, I'm like 21, I guess, maybe 22. And so anyway, she goes, yeah, come see me tonight at the club. So I guess she was just marketing. I don't know. But anyway, so I go to the strip club, and we end up spending the night together at her apartment. And the next morning is like Sunday, and she's like, we got to go to church. My friends been telling me about this church, and I'm like, man, we did shit God ain't gonna forgive us for last night. You know what I'm saying? But like, whatever. And so I'm like, but it was fun. So maybe I can get some more of it. So I'm gonna go to church with this chick today. So I went to church, and it was this guy named Keith Craft preaching. And I've heard this story so many times. Like, I didn't want to go to church, and it was this guy, Keith Craft, but he really is like just a transformative speaker and preacher, and like really, like, I believe, like a prophet of God in one form or another. And not to get weird on everybody, but
I love it.
I've been riding with that dude since then. There's been times when, me and God were in a separation period because I had to go through my own stuff, or I was mad or untrusting or whatever the case may be. I'm a human being, there's parts where I was like, man, there's no way, like I'll never forget when I went to prison. I'm a millionaire. I'm married. I got a job. I'm going to church. I'm tithing for the first time in my life. And then I got to go to prison. Man, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, I was doing better when I was out there selling drugs and doing all this other shit. How the hell when I get my life together, this is what I have to deal with, And then when I lost my license in 2010, it's like, really, I get out, I go to church, now I'm getting divorced, and I do all these, like, it was just like, there were times when I stepped away, and I realized, because here was my thought process behind that. I went to 2 types of prison, state and federal. In the state, I didn't know anything about religion. In the state penitentiary, everybody goes to church. Everybody. Why? Because there's parole. And they're all praying for parole. And so it seemed very hypocritical to me. In the federal system, there is no parole. Nobody goes to church. Zero, right? Like maybe the none of the Christian people go to church. If there's a few people, if any, that show up for it, right? Because there's no hope there. And so I didn't ever want to be in front of God as like somebody that was just praying for parole, and then get out and go back to being a murderer or whatever, like I had seen so many times. So, but stripper brought me to church the next morning and was like, "You need Jesus," and she was right. I did. And, there's two things that lady did for me. She brought me to that church and she convinced me to quit working at the car wash and take a job as a mortgage officer. If I wouldn't have made those two moves right there, because so sometimes when someone breaks our heart, divorces us, hurts us, breaks up with us, cheats on us, whatever the case may happen, we're like, I hate that person forever, but I don't hate this chick, man, because she made me do two things: quit my job and go into mortgages, which showed me what was possible. And she got me to go to church, even though she wasn't a church girl whatsoever. It was like, God put that woman in my life for a reason to make these two things that led to the trajectory to where I'm at today.
That's the good stuff right there. I love that. When you take all of the experience that you have over the last 20 years, you've had it, you've lost, you've had it, you've lost it. Talk to the folks about money. We often were raised in a society where money doesn't grow on trees. You hear all these monikers, it's inappropriate to ask so-and-so how much they make or how much this costs. So it's hard to get like actual financial literacy or financial advice when it's not for someone else's gain, right? It's easy to go to the Charles Schwab guy or the B of A guy because they're going to put it in their bonds, their stocks. They're going to make money off it every year. You've been in a lot of deals, a boatload of deals, land deals, real estate deals, car deals, watch deals. You've been in a lot of deals. Talk to the folks. How do you vet the deals? Number one. And then number two, when you lose, for everybody listening, I know it's a surprise, not everything wins. When you lose, how do you deal with the loss? How do you vet the deal? How do you deal with the loss?
Well, I never bet more than I'm willing to lose. And I try to keep it to where I never bet more than a month's salary. It may not sound like a lot to some of you. It's a lot for me. That's a lot of money because I'm independently doing pretty good financially. So it's usually multiple six figures that I invest on a monthly basis. Some deals hit, some deals don't. But for the deals that hit, they should make up for the deals that don't. It's rare that, and it's happened maybe one time in my career that something goes to zero. Now I've had a lot of things where I've invested in somebody's project and, we put $100,000 in it. We were expecting $150,000 back in 2 years. And then we end up getting $75,000 back when it was all said and done, because they fucked up and we just needed out of the deal or whatever. Right. Like usually your stuff's not going to go to zero. So here's what I learned from a guy named Keith Cunningham, right? This is how you look at investments. You look at it as like, what's the upside? What's the downside? And can I live with the downside? Very simple. And that's Keith's a good old Texan. So he's just like a very simple-minded guy like myself. And I'm like, man, that's a very make sense deal. But, if you're going to invest in something, here's what I would say. Just keep buying real estate. And every year somebody tells you, oh, the real estate market's going to flip. And sometimes it does. But I ain't ever bought a house that I owned for a long period of time that was worth less. If let's say you're a plumber, and you're really good at plumbing and you're having a hard time scaling. Okay. And you're like investing in real estate on the side. Stop investing in real estate and go buy another plumbing company. There's your scale. Right. Like think of ways to invest in yourself to where you can manage it. Like I run all my own investment properties. We have a $20+ million portfolio of real estate. We run all the shit ourselves. And it's not that much. It's some of it's commercial, some of it's residential, some of it's raw land, but we run all the shit ourselves. It's not that big of a deal to manage. Now we've gotten good over the years at it. We didn't just come take all this on at once, but that's how it works. So man, when you're out there and you're wanting to know what to invest in what you know. If you're a plumber, go buy another plumbing company. You're like, well, I only got 20 grand. Cool. Tell them you'll put 20 grand down and finance the rest through them. There's always a way to work out. Here's the thing about business. It is what you make of it. It's all about the paperwork and the the agreement that you get everybody to agree with. Brad Lee one time told me, he's like, you could put anything in an operating agreement. He goes, I put that I've got a super vote in mind so that no matter what the fuck they vote for, my vote's the only one that really matters anyway. Like, he goes, they sign it. That's how it works. It holds up in court. It is what it is. You can put whatever you want in an operating agreement in a business. You can finance things however you want. And as long as you're not defrauding banks or lying to somebody for tax returns or whatever the case may be, there's a million different ways that you can get creative. If you're a small business owner, you're wondering what to invest in, I would go watch Cody Sanchez. She's got some really good, make sense, small business, easy to follow, understandable, just getting started content all over YouTube. And she's really good at that stuff. So I would recommend following her.
I love that. I love real estate. My business partner and I, we've been on second base in real estate for the last 15 years. Just very simple, Midwest in the South, and accumulating as many properties as possible over the years. And now we're many years into it and a few hundred doors, and it always cracks me up because we went through the '08 crash, we went through the 2010 upcycle. Now we're back, everybody with their speculation, and here we are still buying more because, like you said, we're investing in what we know.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Invest in what you know.
Relationships. We've talked about business relationships. I want to talk personal relationship with these folks out there. I've been married 15 years. We've got 4 little ones. A lot of people know my example, my wife, our ethics, our ethos, our vibe. I love that you always speak highly about your significant other. It's one thing that I really applaud you for. I love about you and I respect you for. Talk to the folks out there. How do we form that relationship? You've got a boatload of stress. Maybe you have a little bit of money. Maybe you have a lot of money. You've got a lot on your plate. How do you carve that time out for the missus, and why is it so important to you?
Yeah, we do date night every week for 9 years, like clockwork, right? It's tomorrow night. We're going to her best friend's art reveal at some art gallery. I'm doing some shit that's totally not in my wheelhouse, but that's what I do because she's done a bunch of date nights that weren't in her wheelhouse that I've had her do, right? And so but yeah, we've done date night once a week, every week for 9 years, unless I was on the road or unless we were sick, which has maybe been 6 times in 9 years. And because if I'm on the road, we usually do it on Wednesday. Tomorrow we're doing it Thursday because the art gallery reveals. So we just swap the day around. But that doesn't mean we got to stay out all night either. Usually on date night, we meet up at 6 o'clock at some restaurant. We're home by 8:30 to tuck the kids in for dinner. But it's a few hours that we dedicate towards each other. Sometimes we talk business. Sometimes we tell each other nasty things we're going to do to each other when we get home. Sometimes we drink. Sometimes we don't. I haven't been drinking for 60 days now. So I haven't been drinking so much, but she's making up for me. And just kidding. But we just get to enjoy each other's company. And sometimes there's been plenty of times we just went for a drive and hit a couple of bar hop, like I'll grab some cookies and she'll drink some wine, or I'll have an after hours drink. Same type of stuff, but it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's just us showing appreciation and dedication towards each other. There's been plenty of times where she's yelling at me or I'm yelling at her because we're unhappy with each other's actions in that moment. And it's like, I don't give a shit. Get your person, get in the truck. It's date night, right? It's like, that's how we've always rolled. And it's an understanding. But see, before my wife and I got married, we signed a prenup, but it wasn't just about money. That was a part of it, but it was also about we're gonna remain in shape. We're gonna stay in physical shape. We agree to never stop working out, to always eat healthy. We agree to date night once a week. We agree to raise these kids according to the principles that we've laid out. Like, we have all this stuff because so many people think a prenup's about money, but I want us to get into an operating agreement in marriage. And guess what? We got 9 years together, 4 kids. And she's my best friend. I talk highly of her because she's a high value person. She's an amazing person that does that. Does she piss me off? Yes, more than anybody on this planet, and more often than anybody on this planet. And I'm sure I do the same thing to hers because I'm around her more than damn near anybody on this planet. And I don't get away with my tricks with her, right? I might be able to convince you of some shit your wife knows, your husband knows. Right. They always have this saying, they seen your butthole. They know your deepest, darkest, ugliest spot, man. They know. And so that's why they frustrate. So many people get frustrated with marriage. Is like, well, she said I'm a loser. That's because you lost 10 times in a row, bro. When you're going to come to that realization that she's not being mean to you. She's just being honest with you. You being mean to yourself and to her by being a loser.
That's it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, man. For folks that are on that 8 steps in some capacity, I know you've got Apex. I know you have a couple other things. Walk the folks through where they might fit into some of the opportunities that you have business-wise.
Yeah, our Apex machine is it's as good as it gets. I've been running the mastermind program since 2010. We've got over 3,000 members, and we have an academy, a true full-on academy with hundreds of trainings. And what we do is when someone joins our stuff, we find out what you're looking for, what level. I told you the levels. We find out what level you're on and find out what you're looking to accomplish. And then we tailor make a curriculum and an accountability check-in structure for each and every one of our members. So maybe you're already good at sales and marketing. You suck at that hiring and training part. We put together the hiring and training curriculum, because here's my goal is to help people be the greatest version of themselves. And in order to do that, takes money. You got to eat healthy. That takes money. You got to have your vitamins. That takes money. You got to have your finances handled so your stress is low. That takes money. Like if you're going to be the greatest version. So we help people get money and then show them how to use that money to invest in themselves. And I don't just mean by buying another seminar. What I mean is by investing in themselves, growing their own personal business, taking care of their health so they can enjoy the fruits of their labor long-term, taking care of their marriage so they don't work their ass off and she walks away with 50 to 70% of their net worth and all 100% of the pussy. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to help these people because if we truly all focus on becoming a greater version of ourselves, if we truly, as all entrepreneurs, we become better business leaders, we become better husbands and wives, we become better parents, we become better community organizers and neighborhood leaders. If we all become better, that's how we gonna beat the devil that's hard as work in this country. Right now, he's got all the lazy people on his team, right? Want to do smack and fuck the population up? Dude, come join my team, right? Want to go transport kids or whatever the hell all these other people weird, come join my team. It's going to take enough of us doing the hard work, just like our ancestors did, to turn this thing around. They didn't come over here and fight all these wars against all these redcoats for us to turn around and surrender it to a bunch of blue hairs. You know what I mean, folks?
I love it. I don't want to end on anything other than that, but I do want to ask this question. I've got 4 little ones. You've got 4 little ones. And most of what I do, most of what you do is for them. What's the legacy? What's the message? You and I are gone. We're dead. What's the message you want them to hear if they're watching this right now?
I made a video about this. The truth is I'd like to say something fancy and something motivational, but here's the key to success. I'm going to give it to the world right now. The absolute key to success is just never quit. And what that doesn't mean if you have a bad idea, like if you created something that's a horrible idea, you might have to quit on that, but never quit trying to figure out what that good idea is. Right? Never get to a point where you're like, I give up. I can't do this. I'm never going to do it before. Do you know how many entrepreneurs and business owners have slept in their buildings, have written hot checks to be able to do payroll for just that they needed a few days to get by until they hit a jackpot somewhere? How many of them have had to do just all sorts of gray area stuff just to make it float to take care of their people? No good thing comes without sacrifice, and sacrifice makes you want to quit. And you might have to pivot, but as long as you never quit, that's the true key to success. Nobody that I ever met in my entire life that is successful go, well, I got here because I quit.
Man, I love it. Mic drop on that one. Ryan Stewman, the hardcore closer. I'm going to find that clip. If I can't get it online, I need it from you because I need Michael Buffer to intro you on this when we air it to the world.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. I love you so much. Have a good one.
You too.